It's a hard-hitting bossa right there.
Hello. Welcome to Radioregent. Mr. JohnFraser, Aaron Spink from the Coldjack group. My name is Curtis Anthony, the host and producer of the Koolbreeze Experience. Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming down to Radioregent.
Hey, good afternoon, Curtis. How are you?
Thanks for having us on the show. Fantastic indeed. Today we're going to talk about your evolution, your vision, and your mission. And before we get into the meat of things, what's a normal day? What's a day like for you outside of music?
Well, actually, I've got my own business and I run a specialty soccer and rugby store, and plus a little bit of cricket.
We're going to talk about that
later.
Yes, thank you.
That's pretty much my day job. But even when I'm at work, Curtis, to be honest, I'm thinking music 24/7. So I'm on the computer, and I should be working.
Right.
But unfortunately, the music's going through my mind, writing songs and networking for the band. So it doesn't stop. It's pretty cool.
That's great. I've got to ask you, where did your love and passion come from, and how did that influence your style as a musician?
Well, first of all, my dad was a professional drummer. So obviously they used to rehearse at the house, and my mum used to hate it and throw pots and pans at him because it was too loud. He was in, back then he was into Steely Dan and sort of, those groups from the 70s, So I was pretty much influenced by what he was playing, like you, Aaron, was saying, your dad was playing stuff like that. And so I was into that, the sort of the Earth, Wind and Fires back then, and still am actually. And all the underground funk bands, in the UK was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. So
love that stuff.
I was so I really grew up with that kind of R&B, soul, gospel. Loved all that music back in the UK.
I've got to ask you, Britain, relatively a small country in size in terms of land mass, 56,000 square miles. Canada, 3 million and change square miles. The US, Russia, all these other places. How in God's country, a little country, island like that has such a grip on the music scene, a chunk of this thing, and produce phenomenal acts like you wouldn't believe. Like they control the industry. How's that happen?
Well, like you said, we get some phenomenal artists out of the UK, like most places, But it's like on every street corner you're hearing the music, you must know Brixton, famous Brixton, right?
Everybody.
I mean, I used to go down to Brixton just to hear the music coming out the windows. There are a lot of Jamaicans live there, and you could go and have fish and chips, and you'd be standing on the street corner, and then you got all these houses, and you got the Jamaican flags hanging out. They're all playing Bob Marley and Toots and the Maytals, and all those kind of bands. So no matter where you go in the UK, I mean, you'd always go hear something fresh and new.
I mean, the British invasion, the Beatles, the Who, Rolling Stones, the jazz funk, the pop, you guys just blow people away with that music, and you're very passionate about it. That's what I like about the Brits. They get in there and they take this stuff seriously, man. Yeah,
and there's a lot of underground, as I said, a lot of underground music, and that's pretty much what I got into because I just enjoyed that more. I mean, I was a kid in the 70s, born in the 60s, showing my age now, but I love the music in the 70s and 80s, and like I said, it's all the underground stuff, like the underground funk, underground R&B and soul, and that's where you got bands like sort of Kenny Thomas, like I said, he's one of my friends, he came from that sort of group. Level 42, a great underground funk band. They're my idols and stuff like that. So,
I've got to tell you, not only was the British influential in sending a lot of those artists all over the world creating great music, but they were instrumental in building great stereo components. Those great tube amps, the BBC sound. Some of the best equipment I heard for recording, and they come out of the UK, really top flight stuff like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
and that's great. I gotta tell you, what instrument do you play?
Well, I actually used to play bass.
Okay.
When I had the original band in 92, 93, 94 in the UK, I was actually a songwriter, and I was the bass player of Coldjack.
Okay.
Now I'm obviously the singer-songwriter, because I remember going to Gary Newman, the famous Gary Newman's studio in Kent, and I recorded a couple of songs, and he pulled me aside and said, you should sing. And I said, no, I just want to play bass. I want to sit in the background and just enjoy it.
Right.
And he said, seriously, you should consider just writing a few tunes for yourself and sing. Wow. So actually, saying that, I wrote Believe in Us, and that sat on the shelf for 15 years. And when I gave it to Eddie, that's why Eddie signed me with Coldjack, because he heard that song, Believe in Us, that I wrote 15 years ago.
Right.
And that was the first song we recorded for the Spitfire Angels album that we brought out in 2013 here.
Wow.
But it's just ironic that was the first song I ever wrote and sang on in a studio, and then 15 years later, it ends up giving us a record deal.
Right.
Toronto.
Tell us, how did Coldjack come about?
Now, here or in the UK?
Where it started?
Well, it was in London. I met a particular gentleman by the name of Dean Chandler, who's still a good friend of mine.
Okay.
And I remember him having a small studio up in his bedroom.
All right.
And we just started writing a lot of songs, and then we thought, well, we've got to get a group of lads together. And we got Gary Wilson, who actually played drums. I think he played drums for Incognito at one stage, just for a few months.
Okay.
But that's really where it all started from, Curtis. In someone's bedroom, like it normally does, is either a basement or a bedroom, right?
And still going today?
Yeah, and it's funny, I came to Canada in 2000, and it was only in 2010 I really wanted to get Coldjack reformed, and that's when I started meeting new musicians, and it went from there, really.
That's great. Tell us, when you and your instrument are alone, tell us about that intimacy.
Really? You want to know that, right?
The fans
Apart from the shower, right?
The fans.
But yeah, it's funny because I've got my own little sort of studio at home, and I'm always singing in that particular room and writing stuff, or singing along with cover tunes. Not that we do a lot of cover tunes, do we? I mean, but when we do, we make them our own. Right. But yeah, I've got this. I like to shut myself away in my little studio and bedroom, and I will just. Actually, I got one of those. I know it's old-fashioned. It's really weird. I've got one of those old dictaphones,
Yes.
And if a melody comes to me straight away, it's like
snap it right away.
Snap it. Otherwise, you forget. Right?
Exactly.
And then it sort of evolves from there, really. And then and then I go to see Eddie, of course, and I sing the melody to him. Right. And you know what he's like. He can pick up something instantly. Put it again. So that's how I work with even songwriting. I can't read music to save my life. It's more intuitive. Right. And so for me, it's an unorthodox way of doing things. But Eddie says, "Okay, I know you got a song." Right. So I have to go into the studio and sing the whole song with a melody, and then like 2 hours later, he's already got this phenomenal beat going and these great sounds on the keyboards. And
John, I know everybody's opinion is different on this. What is your definition of musical success?
Ooh, good question. Apart from writing good songs, right? Okay. I do believe that to be successful, there's a lot that goes on in the background.
Absolutely.
Bless their hearts, there's a lot of artists that produce phenomenal music, but the networking side is very important. It's like I work all day and then I come home and I'm literally stuck in front of a computer trying to network for the band. And if you don't work hard behind the scenes, it's never going to happen. It's never going to fall on your feet. Some artists wonder why it doesn't happen for them. You can have the best tune in the world, write the best tune in the world, but if you haven't got that hard-working, networking attitude,
work ethic.
Yeah, you gotta
get down in the trenches,
pound the streets. And it does. And I know it gets on people's nerves because you're always posting stuff, and I understand that. Right. But you've forgotten tomorrow if you don't sort of keep in people's faces. And
true that.
Anything we post, we try to be confident and proactive with it. But it's important. It's really important to do the grinding work.
Which musicians do you admire coming up?
Well, this gentleman here from my
Aaron Spink,
our drummer, phenomenal. I mean, I've taught him everything he knows. I mean, no, I don't. It's basically. I mean, Aaron's core drummer for the band. He's been with us for 4 years, 5 years, maybe, and he's just amazing. But if you're talking about other artists that I like, you mean?
Yes, like the big names on the scene. From
like I said, from the UK, I'm a big fan of Kenny Thomas.
Right.
Check him out; he's phenomenal.
Right.
Incognito.
Oh, love that stuff.
Bluey. I'm a friend. I'm not a big friend of Bluey, but I know of Bluey.
Yeah.
Level 42. Yeah, they're my idols. But I've got to admit, some people say, "Oh, Level 42, they're poppy," but I was there at the beginning. When it was underground funk and soul, really hard hitting soul and funk and jazz fusion, and it was phenomenal. And Crown Heights Affair, Earth, Wind and Fire.
All my groups you're calling there, man.
Yeah,
BT Express, Barcades.
Yes, exactly.
Funk, bring the funk.
It's the best music in the world. Everybody's got their own taste, but you have to go back to the roots, like 60s, 70s, 80s. Early 90s.
Absolutely.
And then after that it sort of just went a little bit pear-shaped, as we say. It sort of lost the edge, and it's a shame.
With the paradigm shifts in the music industry today, it's a very different place.
It is.
When I listen to I love radio like nothing, and radio is theater of the mind, and the stuff you used to hear before was just absolutely phenomenal. It stayed in your heart and your soul. You sing it from when you were a kid to when you grew up.
Yep.
And your old man had the good system, and you want to get something like him. His when you became a bachelor and all that kind of stuff. The new stuff today, I don't know. It doesn't hit the soul. It seems like somebody goes down in their basement, cuts a CD in an evening, make millions of dollars, and they're parading all the streets with a bunch of girls and money. And what's your take on this?
I've got to be careful here.
True.
No, seriously, I mean, there's some good tunes out right now, but a lot of mainstream music, you forget it. Within a week, you've already forgotten the tune. No one seems to know how to write lyrics anymore. And there's no story really behind any songs, and that's what I was saying to you earlier about when I was talking to Kenny in the UK last week. There is a resurgence of all the old 70s R&B funk bands coming back, because even the young crowd are getting into it because they've never heard it before, and they're realizing how phenomenal these bands were or are, and they're still going. And Kenny was saying they're doing tours around UK and Europe because the demand is there, and a lot of people are shifting from mainstream music because they want to really hear the classics. But as you said, you hit it on the head. You can remember those songs. You can sing those songs. I'm just not into mainstream music anymore.
Well, trends come and go, but those groups that have the real substance, those are the ones that kind of stick around for forever. And there may be periods where it wanes. It's maybe not quite as popular as maybe people either conceive it to be, or it's just not as relevant as those trends at a time period like where we are now. But I think at the end of the day, those things always kind of come back. So it just shows that how much pull a lot of those old school groups are. Like, really nothing at the end of the day beats live music.
Absolutely. I've got to ask you, what is indie music? Is that a genre? What is that? I keep hearing this popping up ever so often. Indie music.
It's funny because I think it was just a term to sort of explain maybe what was going on as like the real terms of independent music, but now it's become such a it's become such a trend itself that it now has a sound.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And a lot of this is something you know, Curtis, and we talk. I talk to a lot of people in my friends, musicians in America. There is a phenomenal amount of indie artists that are just fantastic. They write great stuff. Their performances are like, but you just don't get that chance. You know, you don't get that break, and it's really disheartening because you try so hard.
Right.
And you know, don't get me wrong. There are some mainstream bands that are fantastic.
Yes.
But a high percentage, as you said, I can't listen to it, and they get the breaks.
Yeah.
Right? And
that's the part that bothers me.
Yeah.
When you have a guy going down there to write a song, and if that didn't fit right, he would spend months to get the beat, the sound, and change things around. And I remember the days of Motown and the TSOP, Sound of Philadelphia, when these guys wrote, it had to come out right. Because when you bought the album, you wanted to see the artist, you wanted to do everything surrounding the tune, and it was timeless. And some of the stuff I hear today, it's like benign mediocrity. And
it's hard because we live in, like, if you look at the way that technology just progresses, it's so quick. We got new phones coming out 6 months after the old one had already come out, and you can sort of parallel it with even buying particular media. Like, I'm looking across in the studio right now, you've got tons of old records, old CDs. You know, a lot of people always sort of think nowadays that those are now obsolete,
right?
And it's because they just want access really, really quickly. So kind of paralleling that, it's the product itself has to be churned out just as quick as we want it,
right?
So the quality probably, you know, that starts to diminish a little bit.
Yes.
And that's probably an understatement, but it you know, it's sort of a reflection of the times,
right?
Sort of looking at like this sort of, you know, easy access, quick go, like we were just talking about, you know, watching shows and movies on demand and things like that. It's along the same line. So media, we're so quick to get it, you know, they can't churn it out quick enough. So I don't know if, you know, many artists are as concerned anymore with those types of development processes of the art. And there are those out there, definitely, for sure, but I think, you know, real true musicians can really hear that difference in a product that comes out.
But there's nothing better when you get like a 15, 16-year-old that's come to a few of our shows and say, you know, wow, I love that song, I love the lyrics, I love the story behind the song, and I love the sounds. I've never heard those sounds before. I said, that's because you're so programmed into what you're hearing. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's overproduced.
Absolutely.
You know, each to their own. Music is music, and everybody's got a right to like what they like and buy what they want. You know, and so on. But I just feel, I just feel the classics are coming back. I mean, look, vinyl's come around again, right?
Oh, the warmth.
It's outselling modern music. Pink Floyd's classic albums of
The Wall.
They're selling. There's a higher volume of sales with classic albums coming, you know, and it just shows you that. But the kids are getting into that now. You know, the teenagers are getting into that.
Yes.
And I just, you know,
I think, like, art is subjective, but you can't deny quality.
You can't.
That's the biggest thing, I think.
You can't.
Yeah, great writing. I mean, great writing, great stories. You know,
I had a part-time job selling high-end audio a couple of years back, and we've sold more turntables than ever.
Yeah.
And we had a vinyl, 180-gram vinyl, 200-gram vinyl. You pay a little bit more, but man, did you get the quality.
Exactly, yeah, you can't beat it. And that's funny you used to say that because my father-in-law, has got an old Technics a tape player. And a tuner. And he said, "You want it, John?" So I said, "You're damn right I want it. I want that, you know. Thank you so much." And I've got it at home now, and it sounds amazing.
It was great when you had a good system in the home.
Yeah.
A nice tube-amp or tube radio with the Gerard turntable or dual, and you had that nice set of speakers. A lot of the good one came from the UK or the Eastern United States in the 70s. And it was a beautiful feeling when you listen to music, man. It was the closest thing you could get to live music. And we don't have that today. We have that digital thing. Everybody's plugged into this stuff. It seems so communal. Like, it's just like, wow. It's a really, really different time.
But I think it's changing. Slowly but surely, like I said.
Well, it kind of has to, because that's the way everything has been evolving anyway. It's sort of it becomes cyclical.
Yes.
And you know, when I'm teaching a lot of students, or you know, they kind of come in and they're younger, they're way younger than I am, but they're liking a lot of music that I wasn't even around
okay.
when I was born. So,
right.
And it's because their parents are sort of showing them that, and then. Like I even had I had a conversation about this with my girlfriend. It's like we come into these 30-year gaps. So, kind of looking at mainstream pop in, like, I don't know, let's say the 90s.
Yeah. The
60s were one of those nostalgic things that were sort of brought out all the time. And then I remember when I was in college, so this is in the mid 2000s. Early to mid 2000s, you started to see a resurgence of the 70s kind of coming back, like a lot of these bands like Jet and a lot of these other sort of like mainstream sort of acts coming out that had this sort of grungy 70s sound. The long hair was coming back, like it seems like it's coming around. The 80s are more prominent than ever lately, you know what I mean? Even like with shows like Stranger Things, right? So it's sort of this nostalgia. It's got this almost 30-year cycle.
Just don't bring back the clothes.
I was just going to say that.
Well, the neon is here to stay. I know that.
Yeah. Shirt, jacket.
I don't know about the neon. The neon's here.
I've seen pictures of my wife and stuff in the 80s, bless her heart, and you can keep it.
I gotta ask you, if the music industry was a patient, what bill of health would you give it?
Oh man, that's tough.
That's how you can answer that.
because I almost want to say it's not terminal, but I think it's the hard part about something like that is that that's such a that's saying like there's one sort of main issue, and I will say this: the great thing about music nowadays is that it's so broad. Like outside of Coldjack, I also do a lot of playing and performing with other acts, other performers, other people that basically hire me for sessions, and I love having those opportunities because I'm getting to play stuff that I don't do with Coldjack.
Okay.
So I play in a metal band called X's for Eyes. I play with Quincy and Eddie Bullen.
Saw you last summer.
Yeah,
down at the beaches.
Yeah, and I've been playing.
That was great.
Yeah, I've been playing with.
I got the video footage.
Yes. But I've been playing with Quincy since he was a kid, and I play for a country artist right now named Alessia Cole. I play for another singer. She kind of coins the term scrap rock, and her name's Irva Khan. But there's so many branches of the tree of music that maybe one of those branches or a few of those different kind of branches are maybe they've got a little bit of wood rot, but I don't think the overall sort of broad spectrum of the music, maybe music itself. The music industry might be something else to talk about, but I think the state of music itself, there's always something there for somebody.
Yeah, it needs a transfusion.
Yeah. You might lose it's like, well, if we don't save your, if we don't get this infection out, we might lose your arm, but your body's still intact.
Well, yeah, I mean, and cannabis oil.
I like that. Well said.
Cannabis oil, it helps a lot. So I can see that being a cure.
For decades, artists has been plagued with nightmarish contracts and so on. It seems like a Ponzi scheme. I mean, it's like it's crazy how this thing operates. Somebody wants to take 95% of your labor while you're trying to grind down in the trenches, and
that's the beauty of being indie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you do have you have control over I mean, we've got a publisher as well. And as you know, we're signed to Eddie Bullen.
Okay.
And but Eddie gives us a lot of free reign.
That's what you need to grow.
And without that, I'd feel too restricted. I mean, it must be to turn around and say, we got signed by Universal or Sony or something. Yeah, but sometimes you could be signed by those big companies and you sit on the shelf for years,
right,
and nothing happens.
Wow.
And that's a lot of my friends in the UK have signed with these particular companies, and nothing happened. Wow. So I love the option of being indie because you do it, like I said, you have full control, and you can make the decisions, and you can write and feel comfortable about what you're writing. And this gets back to the early question about when you hear mainstream music, you go, wow, everything sounds the same, and that's because everybody's so controlled, and you've got to do as you're told, sort of thing. Fair enough. That's the contract. But
I think a lot of people are smarter to it now than obviously maybe it was 15-20 years ago.
Right.
because the industry has changed so much that even, I guess the whole big thing back when I was a kid and I was playing in bands in high school and things like that, it was going, we want to get that record contract, and then you've made it. And it seems like a lot of the time that was just sort of the goal. Nowadays, a lot of major label record companies, they're either maybe signing you to small deals on, okay, we just want to maybe help you produce 1 or 2 songs,
right?
Kind of get the ball rolling, see if you're a viable product for us to be able to market.
Wow.
Or they go, we really like what you want, go make us a record, and then we'll see what happens from there. So they're almost having you kind of pay it forward.
Okay.
So essentially, in a way, they're telling you, you have to finance all your own stuff, and then when you give us a product that we think is good enough, then we'll talk about distribution and contract and all that sort of, whatever kind of comes with that. But at the end of the day, I think that's actually a good thing, because then it gives you that full control to realize, well, this is the product we want to put out. If they're not down with that, well, then guess what? I guess we're not going to sign on the dotted line.
Wow.
So, the industry has changed so much on just even that front that I don't think it's that much of an issue anymore. And like John said, being independent now, it's proven a lot of things, that you can do anything. Like so one of my big mentors that I had growing up, especially when I was in college, was Mark Kelso.
Okay.
So he's a really, really prominent, well-known drummer in the city. He runs the Humber College jazz program, the drum department. And this past year, he basically took, I think he took a sabbatical for a year, and he went and he came out with his a band called the Jazz Exiles. It had Rich Brown, Robbie Botosh, and
great players.
And he went out and he was nominated for Juno this past year. And I think the one big thing to take away from that was, well, if I can do that independently, that kind of proves something right there.
Sure, for sure.
Well, that's get back to that just quickly. We were saying something earlier, Curtis, about, it's great being an indie artist, but again, you've got to understand you're doing everything. If you're lucky enough to have a great manager or an agent, that's phenomenal.
Right.
But if you are doing it on your own, again, you've got to work so hard and keep on top of everything.
Wow.
And I believe with Coldjack, and hopefully Aaron will agree with me, that our presentation is extraordinary, and that's another thing. Presentation of your product, your album. Take pride in your album cover. We do live photography shots. I don't know if you remember, I sent that Reflections, the shot of me in the lake for Troubled
I saw
Man.
that. Yeah.
People at first thought, that was superimposed, and I said, no, I actually got in a freezing cold lake for 20 minutes with my clothes on, with a bowler hat, etc. And then we got that beautiful ripple at that particular time, Reflection, where we done that on the Troubled Man CD. But little things like that really help. And it's funny how so many people commented on, wow, you always produce really cool covers, or you take the time to, even down to posters, with trying to be creative, but that's a lot to do with it as well. Presentation, again, I've seen some artists that, again, the music's phenomenal, but sometimes their presentation is not where it should be for the music that you're producing, and people remember those things.
They do, they really do.
It's a signature, it's your calling card, it's your business card, and so you have to really work hard.
Good. Now tell me, how does a musician monetize intellectual property in a manner where the artist gets paid fairly?
I think you might have to take this one, John. I just hit things.
You talk about shows and stuff like that, really.
Yeah, that type of thing.
It's really difficult because, as you know, it's tough out there. The economics.
You have to find angles.
Yeah, you do. You have to, and you really have to sell yourself. It's like, and bless their hearts. If you don't accept a show, no one's going to see you.
Quite true.
Right, but at the same time, you get offered X amount, and you sort of think, I can't really play for that, but you really have to.
To get out there.
To get out there, and sometimes, as most bands, this is getting back to it. If you look back at, I'm getting into rock here, by the way, like heavy metal, like Iron Maiden and Fleetwood Mac. They used to play, and even U2. They used to play in London. and they used to play for like £10 in a pub.
Look at where they are today.
Look where they are. But again, you have to make those sacrifices.
Absolutely.
And a lot of venues, they've got. It's like anything. How many bums can you get on seats? And you know they want to make their money, and I understand that. Yeah. But you almost. There's not enough money to go around, and you just have to accept. You have to take whatever you can get.
Right.
But for Aaron and I, we've understood. There's a lot of shows that I don't get paid.
Okay.
And being the front man and sing, so I have to make that sacrifice. And,
right.
I know my lovely wife doesn't like that, but sweetie. But it's true. You have to make those sacrifices and sometimes play
like anything else.
Because no one owes me anything, and I don't owe anybody else anything. But at the end of the day, again, if you don't put that effort in, it's over.
Right.
It really is over. Not that you should play for free.
I agree.
No musician should play, because people don't realise there's mileage, there's equipment, there's hours of practicing.
You got to pay the dues.
Yeah,
and the woodshed part.
And you never get enough to cover that. But if you love your passion of music and you want to succeed,
got to give something to take.
You have to pretty much take nothing.
You don't become a musician because you want to make money, but you hope that you work hard enough at it that you can make a living at it.
Right.
And kind of going back to your question of like what makes musical success, I think it's being able to constantly perform, play, do all of that without compromise.
Right.
Yeah.
So finding any way to kind of keep that alive. Money comes and goes, but time goes.
Right.
It never comes back.
True. The future is now.
It's non-refundable.
Right.
So
because a lot of people get the right impression. It's like, I've signed a deal and I'm going to make millions. And, well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you can make a nice little wage out of it,
that
we love our music so much that if someone said to me, "You're going to earn X amount," I'd still do it. Because I love it.
And the passion.
Yeah, I love it. I love being up there on stage. I love seeing smiles on people's faces and people coming up to you, and that's what it's really all about.
Right.
Yes, it's lovely to earn a wage out of it, but it's reality where it's a different time. It's a different time.
Well said. Yeah, music has its exponential power of bringing people together, man. It has this inherent mystical, magical power to move you, and people learn through music. Where can your music be purchased?
iTunes, Amazon, and CD Baby.
CD Baby.
They're the main channels that most people use, and we've been quite successful on that.
Great.
And obviously, you can go to if you want to check out that, www.coldjack.com or join our facebook.com/Coldjack Band. But they're the main three.
Okay. Yeah. Please tell the fans where you're going to be playing next.
Jazz Bistro.
Yes.
22nd of October. We're become regulars there now. It's pretty cool. So it's Saturday night.
Right.
I guarantee you book early. Because the seats and tables go pretty quick.
Right.
And we've got the amazing Grammy nominee special guest, Mr. Aaron Bing, joining us.
Yes.
Aaron actually is going to be playing for about 20 minutes. Going to be playing some of his music that you played earlier.
Right.
So we're really excited to meet Aaron Bing.
All right.
He's coming up all the way up from Florida.
Right.
With our good friend and DJ Sassy Sue. She's got a fantastic radio station in America that she supports us to. She's a big fan.
Wonderful.
But having Aaron there is going to be exciting. Please check us out.
Yes.
If you're into that smooth jazz, R&B, funk and soul, you're going to have a fantastic evening.
Try my best to put my best foot forward for that day. That's great. Now, any shout out you have for friends and family and fans and so on? Put it out there.
I know my mom's listening. Hi, Mom. I hope you're able to open this up on your browser and listen to it. So
sorry.
I actually want to give a shout out to Eddie and Quincy Bolin. Without them, my whole opportunity for being a part of Coldjack was through Eddie. Actually, real quick funny story.
Go ahead.
So can't remember. It was probably about 4 years ago now, something like that. I was doing a private function at a golf course with Eddie, and it's just we're just playing a bunch of his tunes, playing for all the patrons that are there.
Yeah.
Pack up at the end of the day and drive off. Say goodbye. 10 minutes later, I'm kind of driving off, and I got a call from him on my phone, and I put it on speaker because you can't drive and have a phone up to your ear at the same time. But I put it on speaker. I thought maybe I forgot something, and he goes, "Oh, I forgot to ask you. I got this band Coldjack, who it's run by this guy JohnFraser. He's looking for someone to play drums for it. Would you be interested?" I was like, "Yeah, send me the info," and the rest is history. So without Eddie.
Nice.
Yeah, none of this would really be possible for me, so I got to definitely give a shout out to them.
Great.
And if my girlfriend Liliana is listening too, love you. I'll be home soon.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, before we tune off, we got to touch a little bit on this, where the music ties in with the cricket and the soccer. I'm a big cricket and soccer fan.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes. So let's get in there.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love me cricket.
Where did the soccer? I heard you played or something?
Yeah, I played in England.
Okay.
And was signed to Fulham when I was 16.
Wow.
So that was great days. And it was a toss-up between that and cricket, actually, because there was a chance for me to go and play for Kent County. And
top-notch.
Yeah, and I was a bowler at the time, actually, and I really loved the game.
Oh, I love it. I played.
Yeah, you play. Well, absolutely, Curtis. So, great game if you can understand it and get into it. Except for the 5-day Test cricket, you have to take your corned beef sandwiches and you have to have an urn of tea, because you're there for 5 days, and it's like.
I love the 5-day bit because I'm patient.
Yes.
I love the game. I played at open bowl, open bat, and I still love the game today. I've got tapes, VHS, DVDs of the game.
Oh yeah, fantastic. I mean, you can't beat cricket, and obviously the football, as we call it, soccer. Good times.
So you have a lot of soccer fans listening to your bands and things like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they were intrigued by the sort of the soccer background and stuff like that. And the fact that I've got my own soccer store in Bury, and it's been a passion of mine all my life. So
okay.
But now the music, obviously, music's been there all my life. But now it's purely music, and I'm not sort of so much into the sports.
So you run a store or something?
Yeah, I've got a soccer and rugby store in Barry called Soccer Elite and Rugby Plus, and I opened that in 2004 because it was my passion.
Okay.
So we're a specialty store, and actually, would you like one of my balls?
No,
cricket.
Careful
balls.
now.
Cricket balls.
Cricket. Yes, I would gladly take.
We actually bought a beautiful, authentic.
Oh my God! Look at that.
We signed this too. There you go, sir. So
wow! Thank you.
That's your official
cricket ball. Oh, Supreme Grade 8 County, 5.5 ounces. Oh, I remember the days I used to throw it on a bouncer.
Yeah.
If a guy was giving me a bit of attitude out there, and I would unsettle the batsman, so to speak. He would be back at the pavilion.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Don't rub it too hard, because the signatures come on.
Oh, sorry.
I'll sign it if I have.
I've got a cricket ball. This is going in the Koolbreeze experience.
Absolutely, yeah. I knew you'd like that, so I thought I'd put it in for the store.
Yeah,
there it is. Yes.
There it is, mate.
Cricket. I should have brought you a soccer ball.
Oh wow! I got a couple of cricket bats at home to put with that. Anything else you want to plug in before we?
Well, I'd like to say hello to all the fans tuning in, and our band members, the Diary of Vald, Elmer Ferreira, Cole Harvey, Rob Christian, Dane Winterburn, Saya Gray, Colette Easy, and Bella Heyman. I love you guys, phenomenal people, phenomenal musicians, and again to everybody that knows Coldjack, appreciate you tuning in, and look forward to seeing you at future shows, and again, come down to the Jazz Bistro, the famous Jazz Bistro in Toronto, and see us with Mr. Aaron being. It's going to be fantastic. So,
to some of my fans in the UK, the Koolbreeze from the Koolbreeze Experience, saying hello. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to 2 p.m. We're going to be grooving every week. Pretty much I've got a guest now on my show, and it's been a blast. Great music. I play Caribbean rhythms, jazz, funk, soul, disco, rare grooves. Awesome.
And we want to thank you for
thank you very much for coming down.
We want to thank you for supporting all the indie artists. I mean, without you guys, we're nothing. And thanks for keeping that music alive. And I just want to plug something. A new single is coming out, Woman's World. Hopefully by the end of this month. And it's a great track, and we're sort of can't wait. And Eddie's producing it as well.
Wow, Eddie, he's just phenomenal. This guy.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Phenomenal. Thank you for coming to Radioregent on the Koolbreeze Experience show. I thank you for bringing your love to the city. which manifests in our greatness.
Thank you, Curtis.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate
Thank you.
it, my friend.
It's been a blast, and good.
What happened to the phone calls?
Oh,
No one. My wife was supposed to This is his face when I said. You should have seen your face when I said you want one of my balls. Whoa! You can't say that on air. I told Eddie that, and he said, "Oh man, you got to do that."